That's so true.
So, welcome to the Dirty Donut 100. This race started off very interesting, as on the drive to the race I realized that I had forgotten all of my nutrition. This wasn't a huge problem at first because I knew I had a friend that was going to be there that was sponsored by Flow Formulas as well. He lent me 2 bottles at the start, but since I didn't have my pack, it meant I couldn't record until I got my pack. That's where this footage came from. We got some sub-in cameramen for that first bit. This is the crew. We got all my friends, and of course the not crazy ones are sitting in the front seat. But after we got to the mile 26 marker, I managed to take my first ever hydration pack hand up, which was a doozy, and we have footage from there on. So I hope you enjoy it, and always remember to check the fridge before you leave home. So, just to give you an update of what happened so far before I got my camera, I was invited today to be somewhat of a guest rider on Team Clark Logic, which is these pink jerseys right in front of me. My friend Samuel Schnepp is on this team and is definitely the #1 favorite to win this race, so I was stoked to be invited to ride along with him. So far, we've just been setting a steady tempo, trying to whittle down the group, and I put in a few small attacks just to get rid of some stragglers that, in all honesty, were kind of stressing me out with their bike handling skills. But now we've got it down to a group of 10 or less, and there is already 2 guys off the front, one being a Clark Logic guy, and one being just a plain jersey guy. We're not too worried about it at this point, but I can tell already that me and Sam are itching to be up at the front. So after a little while of just rolling along in this group, Sam puts in a pretty big dig and then is gracious enough to wait for me after the double track section that he attacked through. There was one other double track section prior to that, but we just rolled easy through it. Once we got a good gap on the group, we rolled through a section where there was crew, and we asked them what the gap to the group in front of us was, and they said that it was 5 minutes. And at that moment, I knew there's no way I'm closing down a 5-minute gap while chasing Sam. Sam is a really strong rider, and I was struggling just to stick his wheel. So after a while, unfortunately, I got dropped just before the first donut stop. Now you might be thinking, what on earth is a donut stop? And that is what makes this race so unique. As the name points out, the Dirty Donut 100 has a division of racing where you can stop and eat donuts for time bonuses. This is definitely an interesting format. I am obviously not racing in the donut division because I'm already eating too many carbs, but definitely an interesting bit of strategy that can go on there if you choose to sign up for the donut division. Right now on the screen you're seeing me chase down Sam and the one other teammate that went off the front, and we are almost to the end of the 2-track climb. It's not even really 2-track, just rougher gravel, and right about now I look back and see that I have a pretty sizable gap to anyone behind me, so I decide to just go all in on the effort to get up to those 2 riders and see how far I can make it. Obviously, they have a gap on me too, and could have just ridden off just the 2 of them, but like I said, Sam was nice enough to stop or roll slow and wait for me once this turns left onto the road. And right now you're seeing me use my brand new DIY aero bars, which I first talked about in my Unbound bike build video, and this was the race that I was referring to where I would first test them. These worked out pretty well. You see I was able to close down that gap to Sam and his teammate, and I was overall really happy with how they turned out, and have still been using them for several weeks after with no issues.
Five minutes?
Like I mentioned earlier, that's the moment where we found out what the gap really was to the group in front of us.
Sorry.
And unfortunately at that point I knew I wasn't going to make it up to them, but I still wanted to get as big of a gap as I could on the group behind to try and hold that to the finish, because if I could do that I would end up getting 5th overall, which I would be very happy about. Right there, you just heard me ask my crew to text me the gap to the group behind me, and that was just so that I could decide if I wanted to try and make it to the finish solo without letting them catch me, or if it was a better idea to just sit up and wait for them. Eventually, they did respond and said that it was over 4 minutes and that they had to leave there to get to the next spot. So I decided that I would try and make it to the finish solo and not get caught. So I did eventually get caught by a solo rider. He caught me while I was stopped getting a bottle of water, and I could tell at this point both of us were pretty cracked, and the reason I was cracked is because of how hot it was. It got up into the mid-90s this day, and I definitely was not fully heat acclimated yet, as it had only been hot at home for a few days before this. We pretty much just rolled steady, taking even pulls until about a mile from the finish, where I put in a small attack. Rolling slow right there because I just took another bottle from my crew, as well as 2 frozen net gaiters that I would hold in my hands for some cooling. I also laid it across my aero bars so I could rest my full forearms on them, which I think was a great decision on this hot day. Unfortunately, at this point, my camera died, but I can't really complain because I got almost 3 hours of 4K footage with external mic audio. Really great camera setup that I've got figured out here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my camera and crew. It was a fun race, fun day. See y'all in the next one.
Oh, that's so true.